The Rebel was at the announcement of the Alberta budget, and boy, was there a lot of money being handed out. And the public sector is being well rewarded for its ongoing support of the NDP. This is the largest consolidated deficit in Alberta's history at $9.7 billion. In fact, the debt predicted to be just last week at $31 billion is readjusted to be closer to $47 billion by 2019. I asked Derek Fildebrandt, the Wild Rose Shadow Minister of Finance, what the Wild Rose would like to have seen in the budget.
We'd like to see a shred of restraint. I mean, we've got the biggest government in the country. I don't think we need to necessarily have the smallest government, but we should at least have something closer to the national average. So when we're seeing massive spending increases in a year where we're already running the biggest deficit in our history, we're on a track for Ontario territory right now. I want to see some real spending restraint. I want to see governments commit to scrapping corporate welfare subsidies, to some restraint in the government sector, getting our spending under control.
I asked Paige McPherson of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation if blaming the price of oil was any real excuse for the fiscal problems in Alberta right now.
This government wants to blame it on oil prices, and yeah, oil prices are a tough factor in this province. They're also a good factor, you know, a lot of the time, but it's not about oil prices, it's about spending, and you can see that if you just look next door to BC, where the spending levels are much lower. We actually spend $6.5 billion more per year than they do in BC.
PC leader Rick McIver has concerns that the NDP government will now be borrowing to cover operational costs, which is tantamount to using your credit card to pay for your day-to-day groceries.
The government has said that they're going to start borrowing next year for operating, which is tantamount to taking out a loan for the weekly groceries. They have given themselves authority to borrow up to 15% of GDP, which could be $55–60 billion. And they have said that they will not put a plan in place to pay any of it back until they're in surplus, which is 2020 by their own dates.
PC MLA Richard Gottfried expressed his strong concern that while the government spending is ballooning, the Affordable Assisted Living Initiative remains unfunded. This program supports seniors who need long-term care or supportive care. 2,600 seniors, people who built this province, will have to wait another year. Here.
And all we hear from this government is shortly and coming soon, and this has been almost a year, over a year since they were originally announced, and over 5 months since this government took power, and still we've got non-profit organizations and for-profit organizations that have partnered with them waiting for any kind of a word on this funding, and it's just not acceptable to these at-risk seniors and to all Albertans.
Then I asked Amber Ruddy of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business about the effect this budget would have on the job creators of our province.
Business owners, you know, if the small business job incentive is going to affect a large number of our businesses, it has to be low on red tape. We'd much prefer to see a small business corporate income tax cut than to have to apply for new programs and tax credits.
What we saw in the budget was a refusal of the NDP government to cross its friends in the public sector. They don't seem to care that jeopardizing Alberta's AAA credit rating will make the end cost of this debt that much higher. Frankly, the budget showed no real respect for the people, the future generations who will be burdened with repaying this debt, if we ever even can. For TheRebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.